Hello, fellow potatoes. Before I actually get into the video, I'd like to talk about a little conspiracy theory that I've stumbled upon, albeit not as dumb as Flat Earth. My Flat Earth video is my most popular long-form video on the channel. At first, I thought nothing of it. YouTube just prioritizes weird shit. It also gave me this little, hey, Flat Earth ain't real warning. Thought nothing of it, went about my day as usual. Then I decided to make this video about Eric Dubé. That's when I noticed it doesn't have this little warning. Every other Flat Earth video has this little warning. Not this one, and it gets an average amount of views as any other Eric Dubé video. Then Eric Dubé's second most viewed video has the little Flat Earth warning. And that's when I'm like, hey, what about Professor Dave? He makes more than just Flat Earth debunks. He debunks other things, he makes lessons for college kids. His most viewed video is a response to the Globebusters, and would you look at that, it's the little Flat Earth disclaimer. I think if you have the little Wikipedia disclaimer thing on your videos, it increases your odds in the algorithm. I don't have enough evidence to prove that this is the case. All I'm going to say is, once is by chance, twice is a coincidence, thrice is a pattern. And if I make this a series, yeah, something's going on. With the longest intro by far on the channel out of the way, let's get into Eric Dubé being a fucking idiot.
Unbeknownst to most, for the past few years, portable, panoramic, 360-degree LED studio setups now exist and are being used for Hollywood productions like The Mandalorian and many others.
I have two problems with this, but I am just going to address my main problem, and that is the characters in The Mandalorian are being lit from a bunch of different angles, so their shadows are very fuzzy and unclear, not the very harsh and sharp shadows you get from the final experiment.
Keeping all this in mind, let's review some footage from the final experiment. To begin with, watch the supposed sun circling around during their 24-hour time-lapse video, and pay close attention to its shape. Notice how the sun changes from circular to being smushed down horizontally, back to perfectly circular, then smushed across vertically, and then back again. This is not how the sun usually looks or behaves in person, or in genuine footage of the phenomenon from the Arctic.
I'll let Dave McKeegan, the original uploader and someone who didn't refuse a trip to Antarctica, explain it the best.
Now, bear in mind, this was shot with an Insta360, which has two 180-degree fisheye lenses facing in opposite directions. So, when the sun, or any object for that matter, circles all the way around the camera, at some point it has to move to the very edge of one of the fisheye lenses, then cross over the overlap between the lenses, and then it winds up at the very edge of the next lens. So it's naturally going to create distortion.
Now, pay attention to the changes in length and direction of McToon's shadow as he paces around the base camp. In the space of walking only a matter of feet, his shadow somehow completely changes direction and triples in length. Watch as his shadow stretches, contracts, and sharply changes angles within the space of just a few paces. This is not at all normal behavior of shadows being cast by sunlight, or of a man walking only a few steps. The following is a simple demonstration of how light and shadows work depending on the distance of the light source. In the first example, the light source is held close to the action figure as he moves along the table, and we see quite pronounced changes in the length and direction of his shadow. In the second example, the light source is held farther away from the action figure as he moves along the table, and we see much less change in the shadow length and direction.
Yes, the sun is really far away, but it's also really fucking bright. Don't believe me? Go look. For legal reasons, that was a joke. Star Stew Industries is not responsible for any injuries you obtain through your own stupidity.
Now let's watch as McToon and Austin Whitsitt respond to commenters asking them to show their breath in the Antarctic. As they blow hot air out their mouths in freezing temperatures, there should be a cloudy mist that forms in front of their faces.
This is quite simple. Austin is not casting a shadow in front of his misty breath, therefore, it's not showing up.
Someone then asks him to pick up some snow, which he initially refuses to do because his hands would be too cold. So he turns his camera off, walks into the shed to grab some gloves, then comes back in front of the camera and exhales 1.5 breaths, which now mysteriously do show vapor appearing in front of his face.
Actually, in the second clip, you can see he's casting more of a shadow on his breath. Maybe he did vape. Who gives a shit? I'd also like to point out flat earthers are terrible bullies. I mean, they keep calling him Austin Vapes It or Austin Wits Vapes It. Dude, I'm telling you, Austin hits it. It's right there, man.
So after exhaling his vape hit into the camera, rather than picking up some of the snow that was all around him, for some reason, Austin walks several feet away and picks up a bit of snow from over there, then walks it back to the camera and lets it fall to the ground. If snow is everywhere all around him, why did he have to walk way over there to get some?
The snow is really well packed together. That's because they don't want anybody falling into a pit of despair. So in order to get the fluffy white snow people were asking Austin for, he had to go somewhere else.
Anytime close-up footage of their feet was shown, their footprints always failed to make any impression in the snow. Here, he moves his left foot, and there is no impression, footprint, or displaced snow.
This is because of the exact reason I mentioned in my previous point. It's really well packed together snow.
The mountains do seem strangely closer than they should appear, and if you pay attention to where the background and foreground meet in footage from the final experiment, particularly the 24-hour sun time-lapse, it seems we are seeing where the digital backdrop ends and the studio floor begins. There is a separation line indicative of a film set apparent in much of the footage and made clear through the use of video editing technology.
The problem with this is really distant objects appear blue-tinted. You know what else is blue? The sky. So if you have a strong enough chroma key, it can't distinguish the sky from mountains or buildings.
By adjusting the contrast, it becomes clear where studio reality meets digital fakery. In the 24-hour time-lapse sun footage, the mountains and sky are both chroma keyed out, showing they are both part of the studio backdrop.
This is Johnny. His favorite shirt is this green shirt that he wears. He likes to make videos, so one day he steps in front of a green screen while wearing the green shirt. He is now a part of his wall. Does that make any sense?
Compare this to other footage taken at Union Glacier. When chroma key is applied, only the sky disappears, leaving the real mountains untouched. This makes the case that the final experiment is potentially a mixture of doctored studio footage to fake the 24-hour sun, and other authentic footage actually taken from Union Glacier, Antarctica.
Since most of them were there to record the 24-hour sun, they were actually moved further from the mountains. Also, did Eric Dubé just admit that he could go to Antarctica?
The founder of this final experiment, Pastor Will Duffy, has also had a recent clip surface from a sermon of his that gives some real insight into the mind of the man behind this production.
Okay. We finally get to my conclusion on the matter of lying and deception, and that is this. After carefully looking at both sides of the debate, and after taking a very deep dive into everything I could possibly find in Scripture regarding lying and deception, I have come to the conclusion that neither lying nor deception are inherently immoral.
He was referring to stuff like small white lies, or saying, there's no Jews in this house in Nazi Germany, but you seem like the type of guy to rat them out. Moral of the story, we both have the same amount of rights to talk about Antarctica because we both never went there, but the difference is, I was never offered to go there.